Hi everyone, while I had the camera out for recording another work-related video, I thought that I was going to quickly do a Journeys with Jane, and today's a very easy one. Like so many of the lessons that she taught, it was about how not to limit yourself and how not to put yourself in an unnecessarily small kind of box. And it's the idea of not insisting that I am such and such a type of person. So it's not I am a sensitive person, or I am a ruthless person, or I just don't do that, I'm just not the sporty type. Because it's very often that what we do in life is a product of choice as opposed to a product of who we inextricably are or am, kind of thing. And it's very easy to make excuses saying, I'm sorry, I just can't do that because I'm just not brave. Whereas you could do that, and perhaps it'll be easier for you to do X, Y, Z if you stop the lie of insisting that you need to be a certain way. So, try for a while to avoid the cliches of I'm not that kind of person, or we're just not those kinds of people, or I'm not interested in that. It's like, I'm just not a business person, or I'm not the sporty type, or I just don't like reading. Well, perhaps you're a bit broader than you think. And I thought to myself, this is now an extension of that kind of idea, where Jane would always nail people if they say, it's like, oh, I'm just not very disciplined. Who says that? Maybe there are more options that are available, and maybe you could choose discipline, but don't say that you are smaller than you have the capacity to choose to be. But now let me extend on that idea a little bit with a thought of my own. I like to think that it's much better to ask yourself a question, and this is imperfect, by the way, but to ask yourself a question about yourself and put it on a Likert scale rather than a binary option. What I mean is, for instance, if you ask yourself, am I a tidy person? So am I a tidy person? Well, that leaves me saying either yes or no. And that for me is not actually particularly rewarding or accurate. But on the other hand, if I say on a scale of 1 to 10, how tidy a person are you? Then I might think, well, 7, okay? And then why am I only giving myself a 7? Or why am I giving myself as much as a 7? And then I would say to myself, well, because I tend to organize my bedroom in this way, but I'm not so great when it comes to knickknacks that are sort of lying around the lounge, etc. And that gives me more scope to consider how I might want to choose to change my behavior, etc. So instead of saying I am X, Y, or Z, you've got a lot of scope. And if you ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how much am I currently being compassionate, being kind, being selfish, etc. That's a great example. Ask someone, are you selfish? It will be 1 in 100 people who say, oh yeah, I'm selfish. Very few people will just say, I'm selfish. And for instance, I would not call myself selfish. Generally speaking, I think I tend to be very other-focused. But if you ask me, on a scale of 1 to 10, Paul, how selfish do you think you are? I don't think I'd be nearly so arrogant to say, oh, 0. Instead, I'd probably think, I think I'm a 2. Yeah, I'm probably a 2 out of 10 selfish. Oh, Paul, why do you say that? I think, well, there are certain times that I don't want people to contact me because I'm resting or I'm trying to regroup, and that's selfish. I'll give you a terrible example. This, to my mind, would probably be a 10 out of 10 selfish. I had a thought a while ago that if I could kill myself, but kill the COVID epidemic, the pandemic, so literally, Corona would vanish if I could kill myself. Now, clearly that's an illogical thought, but I thought the thought experiment, and I thought, would I do it? No, I wouldn't. Isn't that funny? Even though I know perfectly well that that sacrifice would kill millions, I wouldn't be willing to do it, I don't believe. And that's a deeply selfish thought. So of course I'm selfish, but there are aspects of me that are selfish. It's not the whole sum of who I am. I'm not entirely selfless. I'm not entirely selfish. I'm not entirely kind. I'm not entirely cruel, etc. So don't say to yourself, I am the sporty type, or I am an empath. You must understand, I just am an empath. It's like, I'm ruthless. I think that you're a lot more. There's of course a wonderful phrase which I imagine that you've heard. I think it was Walt Whitman who said, do I contradict myself? Well then, I contradict myself. I am large, I contain multitudes, and so do you.